Welcome to the weekly Forex forecast for the week ending June 2nd, 2023. My name is Justin Bennett with Daily Price Action, and in today's forecast, we're going to talk about the dollar, the DXY, the euro, the pound, the dollar versus the Canadian dollar, and also gold. It's good to be back. As many of you know, I did take a few weeks off for the birth of my son earlier this month. So for any of you who have kids, you know how demanding a newborn can be. So I did take a few weeks off just to kind of recoup and also spend time with him and also help out my wife around the house. So I'm easing back into things, starting here with the weekly forecast. And also before we get started, guys, if you have not joined my new partner, PrimeXBT, be sure to do so. If you're here on YouTube, see the link in the description or on the website, click on that free access link. You can get up to a $7,000 bonus on top of your deposit using promo code DPA. Also deposit $500 or more, and I will give you lifetime access to our Discord group where I publish daily videos just like this one for members, and I also share my trades in real time. All right, so with all that said, guys, let's go ahead and jump right into it with the DXY here, where if you guys have followed me for a while, you know that I was cautiously bullish on the dollar back here in April, simply because the market was holding above this year-to-date low right around 100.8. And if you go back a few years, this is actually a massive support area here for the DXY. So sure enough, we have a nice rally since that time, about 3% up from this low here. Now, the market did come into some resistance on Friday, right around 104.20. This is a level I've had on my chart for a few weeks now. In fact, a couple of months. You can see where we have some highs and lows through this area. And sure enough, that's where the DXY struggled a little bit on Friday. All right, so this is going to come down to really 104.20. If we do see a sustained break above that, we're looking at 105. And alternatively, if we look here on the 4-hour time frame, all right, so drop down to the 4-hour, you can see we do have this trend line off of this low down here, pretty well defined for the DXY. And there's something similar on the euro as well, to where if we see this right here fail next week, okay, close below this, sustained break below, then we are potentially looking at a retest of that yearly open right around 103.50. Okay, so maybe some consolidation here for the DXY next week. That would be healthy considering the rally we've seen here from the dollar. But once again, if we do get that sustained break above the 104.20 area, then we are looking at potentially 105. So next up, we have the EURUSD, which, as many of you know, before I took that break for the birth of my son, I was talking about the potential breakdown from this channel. And even back here, I was getting relatively bearish on the euro simply because it did look like a rounded top. And sure enough, we got the breakdown here on May 11th. Now, the breakdown from this channel, okay, triggered a nice move lower here from the euro, about 250 pips. So if you caught this, well done. Now, going into next week, here's what this is going to come down to. And this is very similar to the DXY. This upper level is very similar to that trendline support for the DXY. All right, so looking here at the 4-hour time frame, you can see how well defined this channel is. So basically, for the euro, it is going to come down to whether we get a sustained break below this area around 107. Okay, sustained break below this, we see a continuation of this channel down there toward the 106 area. And alternatively, if we get a sustained break up here above 107.60, okay, this is going to be the key level for the euro. Get a sustained break above this, we're looking at 108.30 and potentially a deviation above that. Okay, so that's what I'm looking for this week, either below 107 or above 107.60. That's going to determine, in my opinion, the likely path forward for the euro. All right, now for the pound, which is not nearly as clean as the euro. It got really choppy back here during this portion, and also that last leg higher here up toward 126.60. Now, this is a level I've had on my chart for months, and you can see that's exactly where we got the rotation lower. Had some long upper wicks up in this area signaling that reversal. Okay, now, since that time, the market has closed below some key levels, including on Thursday of last week below 123.67 or so. All right, so what this is going to come down to, very simply, this level up here and also support down here at 122.90. You can see where this was a pivot back in this area. So essentially a sustained break below here. Okay, sustained break below this flips to resistance. And we're looking at this area right down here, right around 121.90. All right, that would be next. Alternatively, if we get the close back above this area, then this down here becomes a fake out, and we're looking at this area up around 124.50. Okay, so this is a case where, we do have an established downtrend ever since this high up here for the pound. So really, I am leaning bearish here for the pound, but I'm not, excluding a potential move back up here and some more range bound price action, okay? But again, with the market closing below these lows back here, it does look relatively bearish for now. All right, now for a currency pair that I absolutely love here with the dollar CAD. This is the dollar versus the Canadian dollar. And this one played out perfectly last week, hit both of our targets, which I'll get to in a moment. But first of all, I want to point out how we have the trend line off of that March 2020 high. That was, of course, the COVID high. And then we have this trend line down here off of the July 2021 high, which was serving as resistance, flipped to support. And you can see how well defined this level is as well. All right, so basically for the dollar CAD, this is just one big range here looking at the 5-day chart. Now, if we move down to the 4-hour, okay, this is what I mentioned last week. You can see where we have this trend line off of several highs here. And I mentioned to members right through this area that it did look good for a long. Sure enough, we got a really nice move up here toward our first target, which was right around 135.50. All right, these highs back here. And the second target was up there at 136.50, which if you look on the daily time frame, that is a very critical level here for the dollar CAD. You can see how it's been a pivot ever since back here in February. Okay, you can see the highs here, lows as support, resistance, and resistance once again. Okay, so for the dollar CAD, this is not where you want to buy, in my opinion. You can see where we did get a slight bounce on Friday right there at the high from Wednesday. Okay, so this level right around 136 is serving as support for now. But if we do see that fail in the coming week and a pullback from the dollar, okay, so basically close below this area. You can see the bounce right here, close below this area, and we're looking at a further pullback down here toward this demand zone, right around like 35.40 to 35.60 or so. This area right through here, this is what I'm watching if we do get that pullback for that bounce. Now, alternatively, okay, if we see the market start to close above this area around 136.50, now sustained break above this, meaning several 4-hour closes, a daily close, maybe 2 daily closes up here in this area, okay, that would confirm the breakout for the dollar CAD and also expose that March 2020 trend line up here around 138. Okay, so essentially we either get the close below this area around 136 for that pullback into this demand zone, or we get the sustained break above 136.50 for that move up here toward that March 2020 trend line. And last up, we have gold here, XAUUSD, which first and foremost, you can see where we have a trend line off of the November low. It's not very well defined. We've only got 2 touches here, but given the significance of this, okay, the time that's passed since this trend line is formed, I do think that this area down here is going to be critical for XAUUSD. Now that comes in right around like 1935. Below that, we do have this level right around 1920. Now, it doesn't look that significant because of the price action back here, but let me show you what happened. All right, if we move back even further, you can see where this level, okay, was support, 1920, support, resistance here, and resistance right here before the breakout. Now, this became a fake out for gold, okay? So I do think that 1920 is going to be key along with this trend line. On the upside here, we've got 1960, all right? So you can see that back here, we do have resistance and this support area, support once again here over the past couple weeks. Okay, so if we move in, what you'll notice here is on the 4-hour time frame, this is our trend line down here, which could be a little bit higher toward those lows. But basically, it's going to come down to whether gold can get back above this level here, okay, reclaim this, and we're looking at a run back here toward the highs around 1980, okay, potentially a deviation there, meaning a move above this, run some stops, and then move lower, or we get that sustained break below this trend line to open up 1920 and potentially even lower levels below 1900. So looking here at the daily time frame, some levels to keep an eye on here are going to be that level right around like 1885 followed by 1855. All right, so tight trading conditions here for gold to start next week, really with that November trend line down here and also that horizontal level right around 1960. All right, that's it for today's video, guys. I hope you found it helpful. Once again, if you have not signed up to Prime XBT, be sure to do so. You can trade Forex, crypto, commodities, and indices and get up to $7,000 bonus on your deposit using promo code DPA. Deposit $500 or more, and I will give you access to our trading group. All right, everyone, trade well next week. Have a great rest of the weekend, and I will talk to you again next week.